Welcome to the Grifball Community Podcast, covering all your Grifball needs. And now, your host for the Grifball Community Podcast, Pinhead Larry and Rage More Nerd.
Yo, welcome to the Grifball Community Podcast, where we talk all things Grifball. I'm your host, Pinhead Larry, 24 from GrifballHub.com, and I'm with my co-host, Rage More Nerd, and the Piggies, with our special guest, the man, the myth, the legend, InfiniteRain. And today we're going to be talking about Pro, and we're going to be having a debate between the two best slayers in Grifball right now, ixGingy and InfiniteRain, about the current game type situation and how we feel about that and how they feel about that. Yeah, it's gonna be wowzers. It's gonna be fantastic. So, you know, I'm gonna keep this as a reoccurring thing, but as my boy Aviance once said, man, let's talk about Pro. So today we're gonna be talking about the Pro League, and because we need to catch up on a lot. I mean, we're already 75% of the way through the season standings, such as like Pro Run, Impulse, and the big playoff picture where we have I believe a three-way tie in playoffs. So how do you guys currently feel about how Pro League's been going?
I think this is the best Pro League we've had in a very long time, because from start to finish, we really don't know who is going to be left out of playoffs. The teams are just so tight together, and it's fantastic.
Yeah, it's very balanced. It's probably the most balanced season I've seen since the bid league started, to be honest with you. So I like it, dude.
You mean you going for 10 credits for 3 seasons wasn't balanced?
No, it's totally balanced. I liked it, you know, it was fun. But
I did too. I liked it that second season.
Yeah, me too, dude. But yeah, I don't know. The captain duos and I think cutting the teams down has really done a lot for Pro. It's been great.
Yeah, people are always talking about, especially like Noplex and PD, saying, oh yeah, we'll be in Pro if there was 8 teams. But at the same time, if we had 8 teams, it wouldn't have looked too competitive. I mean, it would have been just like last season where we had 2 dead teams that didn't even play, which was Pro Run and Emoto Rebs' team, which I don't even know who they were. I don't even remember their team. So I want to get the negative out of the way. I want to talk about the worst team in this Pro League, and that's Pro Run. And Pro Run, it looks so promising, but it just went off the rails. I mean, like, Puppy started to not care, and then he started dying a lot. He just didn't fit in the system. And Pro Run was just trying really hard to bring Halo 4 into Halo 5, which you can't do. And Digital, even though he's been a breakout player, Man Cannon and Priest have just Cannon's getting a little bit, but Priest is, to put it lightly, he's been bad. He's been pretty much a disaster of a Halo 5 pro player. I mean, I know he's been good in the past, but this season just wasn't his season. And they brought in a lot of subs like Noplex, but currently 2-12 is kind of, they're definitely out of playoffs. But I do give them a lot of respect for actually, trying to upset some teams, and they almost did it, but it might as well be called 5-4 run, man. All their games have been 5-4s.
That's the thing, because they almost upset everybody. They keep having leads and they keep blowing them. I think if they held every single lead they had this season, they would be up there with us. But they choke, and it's a team full of winners. I don't know why they're choking. It's confusing.
They don't have a fourth. That's their problem. They just don't have a fourth.
But I mean, if you get the lead, then you're perfectly capable of getting the win. And they get the lead almost every single game.
Yeah, that's fair. They do. I don't know, man. They just, honestly, they played better with Noplex and Ray, in my opinion, than they have with anybody on their roster. Not to poop on Priest or anything, but I don't think he just doesn't have the running down of this game because he hasn't adjusted the smart link yet. So I don't know.
And Noplex and Ray play this game a whole lot more than Priest.
Yeah.
I mean, kind of a practice kind of an issue.
Yeah, that's true. I think Dig also sort of adjusted a little bit later in the season, probably I don't know, 4 or 5 games in, I'd say. And Man Cannon's not there yet. He's getting better. He's definitely getting better, but he's not where he should be to be able to compete with the rest of the captain duos.
One thing I do gotta say is, I mean, I definitely don't agree with Snipe Down, but I was talking about it. Like, you got Digital and Cannon, who are pretty much anchor tanks. They keep the pushes alive. And Snipe Down says you can't go anywhere with anchors. Like, if you got a boat and you got 2 anchors, you're not gonna go anywhere. They don't really have a Slayer. They don't have a person that's causing the force of the push. And they're not an easy team to beat. They definitely get you interested, and they definitely give you involved. They're a bad team, but they're like not at the same time. They're a struggle to beat. How has Vital Signs been against Pro Run this season? Have you guys swept the series against them?
We beat them 2 out of 3 times so far. The last time we played them, they pushed us to a 5-4 game, or I think it was a 4-4 actually. So, I mean, yeah, their season. I mean, not their season. Their record, is terrible, but it's not really the whole picture. They're a pretty good team. They're not easy to beat, like you said. It's just unfortunate that they didn't have like a solid fourth. Sorry, Priest, but you're kind of garbage in this game.
I definitely agree.
Wow.
Bang Banag, dude. Bang Banag.
I mean, it's true. You can't beat around the bush, but now let's cut out. We cut out the fat, which is Pro Run. Now let's get to the meat, the filet mignon, which is this huge playoff battle that I think everyone kind of expected. You got Hybrid Theory, who is currently 6-5 with the 3rd seed. Next Dimension, who are 5-5 with I believe the 4th seed, and then Impulse, that currently doesn't have a daddy. Because Tonga's gone. Who knows what's happening with Impulse? And Impulse is currently 5th. And I don't know, dude. Like, I like Tonga. He's a little bit of a shade ball. Like, I don't trust him. I wouldn't trust him with $1. I don't trust him as a player. He's a good player, but I just don't trust him. D-Cleek is good. I feel like he's gotten a lot better. But I'm not a big fan of King Rick. King Rick just... anytime he plays against a big player, he starts to choke. And even D-Cleek said it. He's a part of that new kind of phase and that new kind of wave of players where, like, he doesn't communicate. Like, he starts choking. He doesn't talk in game. He kind of does what a Venom does sometimes, where he just kind of just takes himself out of the game, which is bad. And, of course, Ace. Ace is Ace. He's a god. And it would kind of be depressing if Tonga had Ace and didn't make playoffs, because he would be in a pool with Alpha Turtle and Perfect Demise as captains who didn't make playoffs with Ace, which is not a group of people, not the best company to be around. So I don't know. We didn't really have a lot of struggles, but we played them this week. But how do you guys feel about Impulse?
I'm not ready to count them out just yet, because Tonga is a very long-term veteran, and he's been out of the game for a couple weeks, but a couple games could be all it takes. And if they like squeeze a win out of one of those games and they're prepped up, go into like a 5-5 record, that's tied with Next Dimension. So they are very capable of coming out and stealing away one of these playoff spots from specifically Next Dimension, I think, because they're kind of my disappointment of the season so far.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I think okay, so who here's played with Tonga before? Does he talk a lot in games?
I have no
The
idea.
dude does not shut up.
Okay,
Like, he just talks nonstop.
Okay. Because I was gonna say, like, I know Ace doesn't talk that much. I know D-Cleek doesn't tend to talk that much, and I know, well, if Rick doesn't talk that much, that means if Tonga didn't know he's communicating. But it's probably better that Tonga's doing the talking since he's the runner anyway. But I don't know, dude. Like, Tonga being gone really sucks, but I'm kind of with Rage here. If Tonga comes back and they kind of get some games under their belt, which I talked to King Rick tonight, and he is supposed to be coming back next week. Tonga is. So, if Tonga comes back and they get some games under the belt, I think they could compete for a playoff spot. I really do.
And King Rick's not a bad player. Like, don't get me wrong, but like he just kind of has that struggling factor that Tariq does. I feel like Tariq doesn't really play his best against like the Reigns and the Gingys and the better players in the league, and I feel like that's kind of like King Rick's problem, and a lot of people have noticed that. Statistically, I mean, I know statistics don't really tell the whole story, but with King Rick, it's kind of like you're kind of looking at the back of the book and you're like, yeah, this looks like an awful ass book. So at that moment, what are you gonna do? And then they're the better end. They have the runner and the best player on Arc, so it's like, what are you gonna do? It'd kind of be sad to see the Arc players not make it to playoffs. But how do you feel about Impulse, Rain?
Dude, honestly, it saddens me that Tonga basically disappeared on Ace, because I mean, a like, how long has it been since Ace has been in playoffs? Like, honest question.
Since he's been in playoffs, he missed.
It was before the season before the Pro Ami season, I think.
Oh, we're talking about AGLA, not just Halo 3, because
Halo 3 he was in, but I tend to ignore that.
Yeah, because I can honestly not really remember the last time he was in playoffs, aside from that second season of the big league.
I mean, he made playoffs like 3 seasons in a row with Alpha Turtle and Retroactive. They just got knocked out of the first round every time.
Oh, did they? Okay.
Yeah. Right. I would know. I did it.
Right. Okay. So, yeah, I mean, I hate seeing Ace in this situation where his captain basically ditched him. But, even if Tonga does come back, which hopefully it does, he's going to be rusty he's not going to be at his top game. Like, yeah, he's a top runner. He's arguably the best pure runner. Yeah, even if he does come back, I want to be hopeful for them, but I don't know. I think Next Dimension might just get the playoff spot from them, honestly.
Yeah, and I think the point that he's arguably the best runner takes a lot away from him now because he's not the unanimous best runner in the league now because Oogie and Pinhead have come so far this season. So, like, if CCV was redone this season, they would not be the top team. They wouldn't be up there as high as they were. They'd be a lot further down.
They were the top team?
I think they were.
Because
I wouldn't have even put them there before the season, to be honest with you.
Oh, because going into the season, you have the best player overall and then the best runner. It kind of, and coming off the championship with Tonga, so it kind of made sense.
Okay,
but,
I guess
if it was redone now, there's no way that happens again.
Yeah.
So, like, when you relook at the teams, all of a sudden they seem a lot more unbalanced, and Impulse doesn't look as good as they used to going into the season.
Yeah, honestly, the way CCV was done this season was kind of a little whack because I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure that Easy and Gingy duo got put above. They had more to spend than Tariq and Galvanator, which is going to go into the next team, which is Next Dimension. And they had a lot of credits to spend, but, obviously they dumped a lot of credits on me, so they kind of got screwed themselves over in a bit. And they're currently 5-5. They're also in the playoff mixture. And honestly, I think Next Dimension, outside of Impulse, is probably one of the most, I know they're still making playoffs, but they have been very disappointing, especially because you saw how they were in scrimmages and the pre-games, the pre-seasons and stuff. They were lighting it up. They were winning all the tournaments, the rushes and all that stuff. So it was looking like Next Dimension was going to be the top team, but so far it's just been a Silent Viper just getting swarmed by swords and just pretty much Killer's legit either choking and trying to do too much, and then Galvanator's on the hub talking all this ish about Tariq saying he can't play. And personally, I'm starting to get the clue that Tariq is probably not a big performer in games. I mean, I'd like to think he is because he's definitely one of my favorite teammates of all time I've ever played with, but I feel like maybe he needs to get his mindset mode. I know he told me that he gets in that Mamba mentality, but so far it hasn't really been showing it with the 5-5 record, especially because you got, in my opinion, the second and the fourth best players in the league. Kind of what's going on here? I definitely have been disappointed in the next, especially the game that they choked against Vital Signs. I can't let people forget about that. So definitely been a disappointing team for me.
It's kind of weird because looking at it now, they're kind of low on CCV because does anyone not put Tariq and Galvanator as the top duo in the league right now? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. They're the top 2 players because I think they were put they were both in the top 4, the top 25 ranking list. They were really high up there. But then when bidding came around, they only got 40. They only spent 30 credits, I think. Yeah, because 40, but that was because Snipe's on there now. They only spent 30 credits because they kind of went all in on Pinhead, but I had more credits than them, so I stole them away. And at the beginning of the season, they were playing so well, you didn't think that was a big deal, but now it kind of is. If they spent those credits somewhere, how good would this team have been?
Who would have they have gotten, though? That's my question. I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but I feel like there's a huge drop-off in skill between the captain duos and everybody else. Outside of, maybe Larry. He's the only one that really comes to mind, to be honest with you.
Yeah, the 2 studs of bidding were definitely Pinhead and Puppies. And then there was, like, I think the next highest bid player is Priest.
Well, they weren't going to win Puppies because Dig was going to drop all his
definitely
credits on him. So, I mean,
I
realistically.
think it could just open up more options, though, because their fifth player was Outgunnery Sergeant, and then it was Snipe. They played them combined one game.
Mm.
So if they can't adjust to the roster they have, they don't have a backup plan to go onto. They're kind of stuck with what they got.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think they're kind of in a tough spot because once you pulled, I'm not sure if Tariq had a backup plan if he didn't win Larry. I don't know if Tariq expected you to go so hard. So, I don't know. I think that kind of bit him in the butt. I feel like
He did, because we talked about it after the fact, and he was just like, "Yo, I don't know what to do," and he was getting because AJ put on his sign up that he was a runner, so Tariq was about to even shoot himself worse than pick up AJ as a runner, and then he was so pissed about that. He's like, "Man, he's like, how come people don't be having the actual positions on the sheet?" He's getting mad. He's like, "Man," he's like, "No," he's like, "I'm with Killers and Viper." He's like, I'm cool with that. He was going to steal Venom from us, but thank God he didn't, because, Venom's my boy. Even though he struggles a little bit, he's my boy. Glad he didn't.
A problem I have with him, though, is not even Killers or Viper. It's, I don't see this team finishing Tankins. And it's because it seems like if it's not off a Galvanator lunge turnover or Viper or someone doing just staying alive on the back wall, this team doesn't run through tanking lines like specifically, I guess, Rain would do. Like, Rain, do you really have any issues tanking against this team when you're on defense?
Nah, man.
Short.
It's a man of so many words.
Yeah, no. But at the same time, I mean, I actually want to talk about, like, how does it feel when you play against them? Because, like, I know you guys got 5-0'd at the beginning of the season, I think, against them. But then you guys kind of, like, took over the series. What's your guys' series looking like right now?
Yeah, we beat them all 3 times.
Oh, you did? Oh, yeah. Oh yeah, you guys back-to-back 5-0'd them. I'm sorry. Oh, damn, you guys slaughtered Tariq. Man, maybe Tariq is chokes against bigger players.
They didn't have Galvanator for one of those games, but they did it again with him in the lineup anyway, so I guess it doesn't really matter.
Yeah,
we beat them harder with Galvin. Just throwing that out there.
Oh, was it like shorter? Oh, like wasn't it like a 20-minute 5-0 with Sentient Sting? Or
we beat them 5-1 without Galvin. We beat them 5-0 with Galvin.
Oh, okay. I was really like following on that because of all the reschedules. Like when you look at the games, it's kind of like all sprawled out, and like I don't know where to look. So. But I want to talk about depth because we were talking about how they have a lack of depth, and we're going to go into the next team that has a lot of depth with Silva and Piggies and Solace, and they're consistent players. Let's talk about Hybrid Theory, who are currently leading the charge at 3rd place in this huge playoff debacle, and they could technically still overtake Vital Signs on that 2nd spot because Vital Signs is 7-5, but we'll get to that later. Hybrid Theory, no offense to nobody here, but I'm not sold on Hybrid Theory. I know we choked a 4-1 lead against them. We still won the game last time we faced them, but at the same time, like I could see the potential in Hybrid Theory. Like Hybrid Theory is a really good team, especially when you got Easy and Gingy, who kind of, they picked up a really safe team with the players they got because, Gingy likes to pick up people he trusts. He doesn't like taking wild cards, and I think the last big wild card he took was not Starblade, but I think it was Killjoy, which was Spring League 15, and it just wild cards don't really work out for him as much as he would like, so he kind of plays it safe. Hybrid Theory's kind of been given a lot of other team struggles, though. Like we saw that game against Vital Signs that lasted like almost an hour, like just crazy, just a super tanking battle. And Piggies, you're on the team. How do you feel about the team? I know you kind of like troll. I don't know if you're really trolling. I don't know how you personally feel about your team because sometimes you like to say, "Oh yeah, we suck" and stuff. But tell us how you really feel? How do you really feel about your team?
I mean, we're probably the biggest CF of a team in the entire league. Like, I'll be honest. Just because, I don't know, dude. Like, it just feels so unorganized. It's by far the most unorganized team I've ever been on. I've never played. This is my first time ever playing with someone like Gingy who's really good at tanking but has tunnel vision. And I've had to, like, in our game against you guys, I had to step up my awareness. I had to really, really try. And, like, the reason that we came back in that game was because I started communicating and just dictating the court, basically, on our team. Like, I was calling everything out. It was exhausting, I'll be honest with you.
Oh, it was exhausting for me, too.
Dude,
that was
it was the hardest I've tried all season, but we just, I don't know what our problem is. Our problem is we don't really have a starting lineup yet, and it seems to me all the best teams have dedicated runners, and we just don't have that. So,
what are you talking about? Gingy's the best runner in the league.
Oh my god, dude! Every time he picks up the bomb, I say, "All right, guys, should we take bets on how long he's gonna hold it?" Because we all know he's gonna die. We give him so much crap about it.
Every time I saw him with the ball, or anytime I see him with the ball,
oh my god. Easy.
I'm like, bro, easy kill. Let's
go.
These guys don't care about this season. So I start going in.
Speaking of easy, for someone who was such an amazing runner in Reach, a great runner in Halo 4, slightly more tanky, all of a sudden, Easy doesn't have the ball in his hands all the time anymore. I think that's where this team's going wrong.
I don't know why we don't, like, we just pick it up. Like, we do the Halo 4 thing where whoever picks it up just has it, and we should really not do that. Like, we should be giving it to Easy, but the problem is Silva and Sauce don't play. Like, they both work nights, so they can't really get on to practice. And I mean, I'm pretty poop against swords, so I don't know. It's a CF of a team, I'll be honest. It's pretty bad. It's pretty bad, dude.
It's really weird results because on the standings, One Hit Wonders and Vital Signs are the top teams, and One Hit Wonders, not a very tanky heavy team, very playmaking, has swept Hybrid Theory. But then Vital Signs, probably having Rain and Nets, and really just a very tank heavy team, tech reliant team, I would say. And Hybrid Theory swept them. So I guess a really good question for Rain here is, why do you always get smacked up by Gingy?
Wow, man.
Okay, not accurate. But
This is a stat man right here.
Yeah, it basically comes down to what you just said. A very pass-heavy team can very easily beat a really stacked tanking team. But when it comes to my team against Hybrid Theory, it is a tanking battle. It really comes down to who can out-tank, which team more. The problem with Hybrid Theory for us is that, Piggies, you might say that you guys don't get on and practice much and whatever, but you guys collectively, individually have way, way more experience and chemistry than Adore and Oogie have. I mean, me and Nets, we have a fair amount of experience under our belts. We play pretty well with each other. The problem is Adore and Oogie, they don't have as much experience. We play a lot of customs because we have to gain that experience that you guys have on us. So that's why, you guys have swept us, but each single time we go against you, 5-2, 5-3, 5-4, we're getting there. That's why we're progressively getting better against you guys. So that's my stance on it.
Honestly, keep going. Sorry.
Just as a quick question, actually, it's a two-parter. First of all, as a caster who can cast your guys' games and watch them, I have never actually seen a real slaughter fest going on, mostly because it is breakneck, fighting tooth and nail, beating the crap out of each other in the midst of a game, and it's not fast. I mean, Bad Intentions games are like 3 and 4 minutes long at best. These games are lasting a lot longer, and so it's not like anybody's really getting their butts kicked. It's very close, in my opinion, just from watching it from the sidelines. But the question I have for Piggies is from something that you'd said earlier, just before Rain, about the focus of the team and the way the team is structured, because you've played for multiple different teams throughout the years in the Pro Division. Did you find, because I noticed there was a performance change with Hybrid Theory halfway into the game, into that final match on Thursday night, where you guys took them 5-4. Was that the point when you started making the calls about on the field?
Well, so I wasn't actually in that game.
Okay.
I was not. I sat out after we got 5-1 by next mention, and Killers went most positive. I was like, was contemplating retirement.
That's a weird sentence.
Yeah. So, honestly, to sort of answer your question, like I realized in our One Hit Wonders game that I needed to communicate more because this team just doesn't do it. You have to realize, like, most of my teams have been like with Shadow or Digital, like people that talk with me as opposed to just me saying things. It's pretty difficult. So it's an adjustment that I'm gonna have to make. But to get back on track, in the context of vital signs, I'm gonna be honest. I know exactly what they're doing wrong against us, but I'm not gonna say what it is.
Yeah, you don't want to give up. That's the same thing.
I'm not giving the strats, man.
It's
But I
okay.
know what
We figured it out. We're ready for playoffs. Just
Listen, man.
Yeah, Vital Signs. They were trying to say, like, how do you guys beat Hybrid Theory so easily? And it's just like, well, I can't specifically tell you what it is because, like, we gotta save that stuff for playoffs. So.
Yeah.
Especially since right now, Vital Signs and Hybrid Theory are set to play in the first round.
Yeah.
If the standings do not change.
You just have to realize that the lineup without me is a very different team. Not necessarily worse, because I think Solace and Silva are better than me with their swords, but it's still very different. It's like very different teams if I'm not in the lineup. So
I feel like you deserve more credit than you yourself give yourself credit for. I feel like you make more of an impact than you think you do, and that's just me. I honestly, Gingy, despite me not being a super tank happy player, like you already know Gingy's gonna hold forward. You know that Easy's gonna hold forward, but like at the same time, it's like you kind of have that X factor because you kind of bring in that playmaking ability that this team kind of lacks. So at the same time, you were talking about the 2 and the 3 seed. Let's move on to Vital Signs, and Rain, Rain's the captain of Vital Signs, and currently Vital Signs is the only team right now that gets me frustrated and keeps me constantly thinking and constantly developing the plan of how to beat them, because they give us the most trouble out of any other team. Every other team is kind of like a walk in the park, and playing against Vital Signs is like it's like I don't know. It's like going to the dentist. It's kind of like beating your head in with a steak. It's excruciating. You got to constantly be thinking against them because you bring in that. You got the best Slayer in the game in Rain. Rain's probably the best Slayer in my opinion. And then you got an anchor tank and a playmaker and a good team captain with Nets who kind of keeps the team together. And then Ugloff, like the punches, they are rage inducing, and that's kind of like makes me question like how they're not beating Hybrid Theory and how they're not beating all these other teams, because like Ugloff, every time we play against him, he just never misses a punch. Adorabilize, it's being a bait isn't necessarily bad, but Adorabilize kind of like flings her body at people, so she kind of like she's a meat bag, as I like to call her, because she's just dying all the time. But if she gets that tanking up, like if she gets way better at tanking and kind of like just steps up with the little nicks, Vital Signs may be probably the best team in my opinion in the league, but they just need to step it up against Hybrid Theory and the other teams, because they've struggled a lot against Hybrid Theory.
Better watch your mouth.
I'm a realist. I mean, I still think we can beat them because man, I could beat anyone. I don't care. I still got the confidence, but at the same time, I gotta it's me taking Vital Signs seriously. They're really. I hate to say it, but like Vital Signs is really the only team I take super seriously. Like they're the only people I think about when I'm playing Grifball. Like anytime I'm in a custom game, they're the only team I think about playing against and like what I need to improve to beat them. That's just me.
No, yeah, dude, pin it. Like I told you like a week ago or so, that your team, for me, I'm the most excited to play every single time because
I wonder why.
Because it's fun taking down the best team currently right now, not gonna lie. But I'm gonna tell you why we do so well against you, Pinhead. Like I don't care if this is giving away a secret or not. I'm a nice guy. The problem that you guys have against us is you use the sword too much. That's the problem.
Yeah, I feel like that is especially Venom. Like, I'm not knocking on Venom, but like Venom's like, I mean, I know I'm a victim of using the sword a little too much, but at the same time, it's like Venom. I'm not a big guy on saying, oh, you went negative, you did bad, but like when you got 41 kills and the second lowest to you has like 60, like that's bad. That's bad. Like your runner has more kills than you. Like that's not good. Like you need to like step it up. But I've noticed that. I noticed that I need to start using the hammer a little bit more against you guys. You guys definitely are a hard team. But Rage, how do you feel from a captain's perspective against Vital Signs?
Because it's tricky. Because I don't want to give anything away. And the thing, all the other teams in this league, I can bring out like very big holes in the team that makes them struggle. I really can't pin anything out of Vital Signs because Rain has got a gift from God getting nets for his duo, and then Oogie for what, 10 credits?
Oh, yeah. Yep. Oogie's definitely going to be the most improved player.
The fact that I got Oogie for 10 shouldn't have happened at all. That's the same as Snipe getting Piggies for 10 at the very start of the bid season. It's like the equivalent of that.
It really is, because Oogie's really come in as an all-star player this season, and it gives you that, like, I feel like both of us have a very big trio, and then our fourth player kind of defines what kind of team we are. You picked up Adorbalize to be a more tank-focused team, and then I picked up Venom to be more of a playmaking team. And so, like, this happens almost every season. You've got your best tanking team and your best playmaking team, and then they're going to meet in playoffs. And it's a 50-50 thing. It goes back and forth. But it's tough because the games have been very close both times. Like, they're both like 5-2s and 5-3s, but is the fact that we've switched off both games, I don't know. I really don't know what to say.
Piggies, how do you feel about Vital Signs?
I'm gonna be honest. Playing Vital Signs is by far my least favorite games to play because it's just a big tanking battle, and I've never played that way. I think that, like I said, I know what they're doing wrong against us, and they obviously have you guys figured out. I think if they made some small adjustments, they would indisputably be the best team in the league. Because, I mean, they don't have a lot of holes, like Rage said. There's so many teams that have so many holes, but Vital Signs just isn't one of those teams. So, I think if they... Okay, so I think it's going to be one-hit wonders, Vital Signs, in a ship. That's what I think. I think as long as Vital Signs is smart against the sword, because I said this in my Pigpen write-up, like, you guys are the best, one-hit wonders is the best at their swords. Like, if people just figure out how to counter the sword, you guys would have a lot more competitive games. So, I don't have a lot of complaints about Vital Signs. Even though we've beaten them, 3 times, it's always been a close game, like Rain said, and we have to fight them, like, really hard to beat them. So, I don't know. I have a lot of faith in Vital Signs this season. I'll be honest, Rain, like, you and Gingy, the kind of players you guys are, not my favorite. Like, tanks, I don't get it, man. Probably because I go so negative, but that kind of playstyle just isn't my thing. But for the first time, Rain, I think since I've started Grifball, I think that you have a really, really good shot to win the ship. So.
Yeah, thanks, Pig. I appreciate that.
No problem, man.
Just really, I mean, I really, 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 really want that ship, man. I want it. You have no idea how much I want it. I'm sorry. Man. I have to get this out. I need that ship. I need it like I need breathing. I need air. So I'm working my ass off this season, working with nets to get Oogie and Adore to the place that we need them to be. And as some of you guys said about us having the holes, yeah, I mean, when you have Nets as a co-captain who is smart beyond belief, like, that dude is just freaking smart.
Yeah.
So having him on the court really does help me out a lot because, just doing this all by myself would be a tremendous obstacle. But having him around makes it, obviously easier. So I really have to give a lot of credit to Nets for just where we are now. Because without him, I would be struggling. So shout out to Nets, man.
Yeah. And it's funny that one-hit wonders and vital signs and a lot of the power rankings were in like preseason power rankings were dead last, and that's going to bring us into our next team, the undisputed first seed. We clinched playoffs with our win against Hybrid Theory, the 2 wins against Hybrid Theory last Wednesday. One Hit Wonders is currently 10-3, and it's not official that we got the first seed, but it's looking like if we win one more game, I think we officially clinched the first seed. And it's been a blast of a season. Definitely a lot of it's been a very weird season, especially playing with people like Sab. I played with Sab before, but Sab and I don't necessarily get we tolerate each other. I'm not a big fan of Sab's. Sab doesn't like me, and I'm cool with that. And then Venom and I, Venom was kind of had a bad attitude going into the season, but we kind of like worked our differences out. We're best friends, but there was a lot of tension because like when I guess for lack of a better term, business with friends, it kind of just gets in your head. But it finally feels good. This is one thing I definitely have to say. It finally feels good to play with a captain I actually enjoy to play for. 4-0, Boss Tycoon, PD,
holy cow, dude.
Friends, but you guys overall as captains were just not where, especially a player like me, a person who is a very passionate player, and kind of like if you're not communicating in game, and that's one of my biggest problems with the teams I've been on before, is that the lack of communication. When it's just me talking, I'm gonna be thinking aloud, and when I'm thinking aloud, I'm complaining. So it's gonna come up as complaining. But the thing is, Rage gets me out of my head, and he keeps me thinking. Like when we score, I'm talking hella shit. Yeah, I'm talking all that, and I hype myself up. The more I play, and that's the thing. Like that one game that we had that day where we played 4 games in a row, and we won all 4 of them. It was kind of a mistake by Tonga to play against us, because the more I play, the more I get better, and the more I start to get hyped, and I hype myself up, the more energy I have. And I hate I'm glad you guys are doing it for the community, giving out the loot crates, but like when you guys have those long breaks in between games, it throws me off so bad because I got all that energy. But definitely, this has been probably the best season out of my 3 pro seasons, because most of my pro seasons have been just disasters because captains just falling apart, teams falling apart, barely missing playoffs. And this is the first season where I actually feel like I'm a part of a team, and I actually like my team. And maybe I'm saying that just because we're winning, but at the same time, I love playing with my best friend, and I love having a captain that I used to hate. I used to not like Rage Nerd, but just like a week,
Dude, same.
Same here, man.
I used to absolutely hate Rage because you're such a I don't want to say it. You are a CO. I'm not gonna finish it. I hated you. I hated how like snarky you were. I just didn't like you. And then when you picked me up, and I said, "Don't pick up Snipe. Don't pick up Snipe." And when you said, "Trust the master," I was in the party with Tariq, and I was like, "This man just said trust the master. I'm done with them. I'm done with them. Did you trust the master?"
I can just see Larry's eyes starting to pop out of his head at this point, and the steam coming out of his hair.
Dude, that frustrated me so much. But honestly, wow. It was honestly a blessing, because I've learned a lot this season. I learned what I need to fix as a communicator. Playing with Boss really had a bad impact on me as a communicator. Not really as a communicator, because I call out and I try to get like my teammate involved, but like I don't rage anymore. And I feel like the reason why I did rage in league games where I used to is because of Boss. Because Boss is such a negative player, and it really had an impact on me. And just like when we lost against Next Dimension, one of those games, I got killed and they took the bomb and they scored it. And I wasn't mad. I was like, oh, it happens. Like I'm going to get better, and I know what I need to do against Galvanator. But I don't want to just talk all day. You guys, Rage, you take control of what you have to say about the team.
I see. I appreciate the love for saying the first time he had a good captain, but and then it kind of doesn't mean that much when you start listing 4-0 and Boss and PD. But like I said, trust the master. I have a not, I have a great track record as a captain, as much as I hate doing it. And I don't know. I just get the top players and I just let them do their thing. And like I said before, the worst problem I have as a captain is trusting people to get over themselves and get along with each other to win, because it doesn't happen. Reference the beginning of this team and Aftershock, and yeah, anyway. But this is one of those teams, because it's really been like, it's been a project. I've had to work a lot more at this one than before. In the other One Hit Wonder season before, it didn't really need to work at it as much, because you're a handful sometimes, dude.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely I hate losing. I definitely hate losing, and I hate people's excuses of why we lose. Like I love Noplex. Noplex is one of my favorite teammates of all time. But I remember we lost against Impulse, which was the best team last season, and Noplex said we weren't supposed to win against him, and that got me to. I was about to go to wherever the hell he lived, and I was gonna beat him to death at that moment. I was like, I'm super competitive. I don't like losing, but I get over it. Like I definitely get over it after a bit. But how do you Rain as kind of like this rivalry, especially because I'm trying to get the rivalry growing, because there's not enough rivalries going on in this league. I see you guys definitely as a rivalry. How do you feel about One Hit Wonders?
I mean, I'll be honest with you, dude. At the start of the season, I wasn't really expecting much from you guys. Like,
same.
To be honest, if you look at all these other duos, ixGingy, Easy, Galvin, Tariq, even Digital and Mankin, then you look at Rage and Sab. I mean, Rage, he's good. Like, he's really, really good. But Sab, I mean, from the times that I played against him, he hasn't wowed me. So, yeah, like, dude, at the start of the season, I wasn't expecting much. But, I mean, look at where you guys are right now. You're in the number 1 seed, 10-3. I mean, you guys are going places. So.
Yeah, as Nets called us, and it's not a compliment that Nets called us that, but I always DM Nets after we play each other. And Nets called us the Atlanta Hawks of the 2015 NBA season, which, if you know anything about NBA basketball, he's basically saying we just have a good record and we're going to lose in playoffs. That's basically what he's saying. But Piggies, how do you feel from a hybrid theory perspective?
Well, I mean, you guys have beat us 3 times, so, and like I said, I think it'll be, your guys' 2 teams in the ship. But honestly, I'm jealous because y'all play the play style that I like to play. It's not straight tank battles. You go for passes, it's playmaking stuff. But as I said before, if people figure out how to counter swords, you guys are in trouble. And apparently that's what Vital Signs does. Like Rain said himself, you guys pull out too many swords against him. And I'm not sure you have the tanking power with your hammers to make up for that. Now, that being said, you guys are a lot like, there's a lot of resemblance between One Hit Wonders of the first Bid League season with like Shadow, Crusader, Rage, and Killers and this team. And they lost the ship in 2 games really bad. I think they only scored 1 goal. But I have a little bit more faith in this team because I think Rage has matured and he's the captain. I think that he can not just anchor you on the court, but also in game chat. So I don't know. I like I said, I think it's going to be Vital Signs One Hit Wonders in this ship. So, but who wins that ship? I'm leaning towards Vital Signs just because they've beaten you guys 3 times. And then obviously twice.
And 1 was without Seb. As far as I'm concerned, we are split 1-1 this season.
Oh, so you guys haven't played a 3rd game?
No, we played.
We have played our 3rd game.
The 3rd game was our first game, but Sab wasn't there, so I refuse to count that.
Okay, who'd you guys have instead of Sab?
Noplex.
Okay. So.
Wait, you had Ray. What are you talking about?
No,
Ray
we had
one of those
Noplex.
games.
We had Ray in
we
one of the
had
games that we won, but the game where we were missing Sab, we played Noplex. And I don't care how good I play, there's no way a team of me, Venom, Noplex, and Pinhead is going to survive against that team because we are going to go negative 3,000.
Hey man, I want to say this. I'm -1 on the season, and now that we've already made playoffs, the next 2 games, I'm trying to go positive.
That's why we're gonna lose. It's over. I forfeit.
I just want that 12-3 record. That's a sexy record, man. I'm not gonna lie.
The last thing I'm gonna say, because Piggy's saying, okay, vital signs can adjust to using the sword. We can adjust too. We have a lot of players who adapt well to situations on the team, like with me and Sab. And I'm gonna go to get ahead and give Pinhead something there. We'll wait and see. But we can adjust too, and it can go both ways. And if we adjust, I don't know where vital signs can make adjustments to combat anything that we do to put ourselves over the edge.
We're gonna tank harder.
I think that's a good point, but I also think you guys have to combat like your emotions, because like I know Larry's an emotional player, like you said. It sounds like him and Venom get into it a little bit. So I think that if vital signs makes those adjustments, I think that it's gonna cannonball into something bad. And I don't know, Rage, if you can stabilize that. I mean, I guess we're gonna find out. I think it's gonna be a good series. I know I'm gonna. I hope I can analyze it.
How about you guys just beat vital signs in the first round and just save us the trouble?
Nah, see,
just do what you've been doing.
We're just gonna throw. We're just gonna throw.
All right, I'm gonna ban you for that. No, I'm gonna ban vital signs for that. They cheated. They rigged it.
What?
It's a conspiracy.
I wanted to say this a while ago, but like since everyone has such a hard time against Hybrid Theory and Vital Signs make it to the playoffs, I'm gonna tell you this much: if we lose in the first round of Next Dimension, because that's how it's looking right now. If we lose in the first round of Next Dimension, and Next Dimension it goes to the ship, and then Hybrid Theory somehow beats Vital Signs because Vital Signs can't beat Hybrid Theory, and Hybrid Theory always smacks up Next Dimension. Well, not always, but I don't know how that series has gone, but. And I swear, if Hybrid Theory wins the ship this season, I'm gonna lose it. I'm not gonna. I don't even know how I'm gonna feel about it. I'm definitely gonna be like, man, we had it. We lost it. It's over. Might as well cancel the AGLA. It's over.
I would gladly cancel the AGLA if we lose in the first round.
Oh, I'm down for that. I'm telling you, but all I know, back to what Rain said, if we win the championship, man. How it's looking right now. Oh, I definitely don't want to play next season.
And that dark horse, dude. Don't forget about Impulse. They're not out. Don't count them out just yet. They're still hanging around.
Yo, I swear, if Tariq or Impulse misses playoffs, I'm gonna laugh. That's all we have for the pro segment. Now we're gonna get into that debate that we're gonna get into about adapt or die, as Priest called it. So stay tuned. So the debate's not gonna happen. Instead, we're gonna be interviewing the man, the myth, the legend, InfiniteRain. How you doing, man?
I'm doing pretty good, dude. What about you?
I'm doing peachy. So the first question I want to ask you, because I'm pretty sure anybody really is thinking this, especially because you don't really give a lot of insight on on Grifball as much as you should, because you're a top 3, top 5 player, and that is, who do you have the toughest time tanking against right now? It's going to be a 2-sided question. I'll get to the follow-up right after. So right now, who gives you the most trouble as a player or as a tank?
I haven't really thought about that. Honestly, whenever I go into a game, I don't really think, okay, well, this person is going to be really difficult for me to kill or something like that. I just go into a game, I just do my own thing. And it honestly, if I had to choose one single person, it would probably have to be Ace.
So Ace?
Yeah, he's easily regarded as the best player in the game. I agree with that. And when I say difficult to kill, I don't mean he just outkills me, because I still outkill him. No offense, Ace.
No, it's fun.
But yeah, he just, his play style, it's I don't even know how to describe it. It's so meticulous. He like analyzes everything. He does a better job of analyzing how people play better than digital. And he just knows how to change it up on a whim. And that is what gives me a little bit of trouble sometimes.
So the second follow-up question to that is, what about historically? I know you've been playing since Halo Reach, so I'm pretty sure there has to be at least someone in your entire career where it was just super, and not super hard, but like the hardest for you to handle as a.
Oh, that's easy. Fucking Determined. That dude, the tanking legend. That guy was easily the best tank I've ever gone against or have seen. Like, the dude is just crazy. Easily, hands down, Determined.
Yeah, I've never got the pleasure of playing against.
Oh, you're lucky.
Definitely. Yeah, didn't you surpass him in KD, or the KD champion of the league?
Yeah. He had like a 4,200 KD. I'm like 4,600, I think.
You guys make going positive look so easy.
I love numbers.
Yeah, stats are really fun to look at. So the second question I want to get into is a little bit about your team. So you picked up BCN. So I got a few questions about BCN. So why haven't you played him in a league game yet? He's shown a lot of progress, shown a lot of talent. And I know you played Noplex last game. I don't know if he couldn't have made it. I don't know the whole situation. But why haven't you tried BCN out in a league game lineup yet?
Actually, it's kind of funny you brought that up because I wanted to put in BCN that last game I put in Noplex because, Adore, she was running super freaking late. And I figured, okay, well, since she probably won't make it, this is like a good a time as any to put BCN in. So I went ahead and messaged him, but yeah, he was a no-show. Like, he didn't respond to anything. And really, this whole season, like, he's just been really busy with, college, school and work and whatever. So it's not really that I haven't wanted to. It's just his schedule has just been, it's been everywhere.
That's definitely the story of a lot of players. But what did you see in them before the season that made you want to pick them up in the draft? There's a few. I don't know where you guys placed in the draft. I don't know if you guys were fifth. What pick did you get him at again?
I think I was the third or fourth, one of those two.
So why'd you go with BCN, especially because you have players like Ray and Noplex who are just, pretty much dominating AMI right now? Why'd you go with BCN instead of, someone familiar like Noplex or Lord Ray?
Really, it's just, this might have not been the best judgment, but I used to play a lot of matchmaking, and I came across BCN. He was playing with Euphoria and like some other people in matchmaking, and the dude just impressed me. Like, yeah, it's the sliding game type in matchmaking or whatever, but the dude is just freaking good on slide. Like, it got me so interested in him that I figured, okay, if he's this good on slide, maybe he could make the transition to no slide and be just as good, if not better. So I just took the chance and got him.
Very interesting pickup. I remember you picked up Josiah, and I was like, oh, is he just picking up these players? I don't know how often Josiah played, but I know that some players have had struggles playing with you as like a bench player because, you usually have your starting four and you kind of stick with it. So which team in the AGLA poses the biggest threat to your team, and why? Like, who is the team that's always in the back of your head every time you play, like a pro run and hybrid theory or any team? Who's that team that you think of that you really want to beat and you feel is the hardest team and kind of like the team that you really think has your number?
I mean, the only team that comes to mind right now is honestly Hybrid Theory. And I know, Pin, like, for you, they're freaking easy. Like, you beat them all 3 times, but they've beaten us all 3 times. And honestly, when I think about their lineup and ours, and then when I think about the other teams that we've beaten, it kind of almost doesn't make sense, but in a different way, it does, because as a team, they have a lot of experience under the belts, and even though they don't play often, like Halo 5, that experience is enough to just have an edge over us, where me and Nets, we have the experience, we have the chemistry, but with ixGingy and Adore, it's taking a little bit extra time for us to mesh to where we need to be against another tank-heavy team like Hybrid Theory. So, yeah, I would say Hybrid Theory right now, just because, we've lost every single game against them.
That's pretty crazy. You guys had a huge game on Wednesday, and I forget what day it was. It was a huge game. ixGingy and you guys had the same amount of kills. You guys kept battling it out. So it'll definitely be interesting because it's looking like you guys are going to face in the third and second seed of playoffs. And how are you, thinking about that playoff seed as it's the most likely to happen? Is it's just going to be Vital Signs versus Hybrid Theory in the playoffs? So what have you done to prepare for Hybrid Theory coming around this next time?
It's interesting that you bring that up because in my mind, like, let me ask you this: you still have 2 games to play, right? And they're both against what, like,
have you learned?
Impulse?
Yeah, Impulse and Next
Right.
Dimension, yeah.
So imagine if you lose both of those games and you're brought to what is it, 10-5 record, and then we win our next 3 games and we're also 10-5. So we would both be matched, like, tied, but I think we would get the number 1 seed because we beaten you guys 2 out of the 3 times. So we could technically have the number 1 seed and then face whoever gets the number 4 seed. So I mean, anything could happen really, but yeah, like, I agree. Most likely we will have to face Hybrid Theory. So going into that, I would probably say that, me and Nets, we've talked about this a lot, what we're going to do. We're going to change some things up the next time we come across them, because every single time we played them, we managed to learn something different about them. Because we've lost 3 games against them, but every single time it's been 5-2, 5-3, and then 5-4. So we're improving against them. So yeah, we've lost, but there's some positive things to take from those losses. So we're just going to go in with a positive mindset, and we're just going to go in believing we're going to win.
Good answer, man. Honestly, I hope you guys do take our first seed because I'm going to be honest, I don't want to play most likely Next Dimension or Impulse in the first round. I'd much rather play Hybrid Theory. So hopefully, that scenario does happen. So you guys, because here's what I have to say, man. I have a feeling if Hybrid Theory beats you guys in playoffs and Next Dimension beat us in playoffs, Hybrid Theory is definitely going to win the ship after that, in my opinion. I'm not going to go into the entire process of that, but another question I wanted to ask is, this is a pre-bidding question. So there's you had a decent amount of credits. Like, you didn't have the most credits to spend, but you definitely didn't have the least amount of credits to spend. But you had the opportunity to get some proven talent, a lot of opportunities to get, established all-stars in the previous seasons, like Piggies. I know Rick wasn't an all-star, but, he's still a really solid player. You got Solace, you got, Silva, you got so many good players, but you went with the risky picks. You went with the Dorbelize and ixGingy, and they kind of, panned out. They, especially ixGingy. ixGingy's definitely showed out and has proven to be a top 10 player. So, in your opinion, what was your idea going into bidding when you bid on those 2 instead of going for the safer picks, I should say?
Right. So the thing about this season is we have, captain duos. So this time around, it wasn't just me going in it alone. I had Nets with me. And, we talked about it. We talked about who's in the bid pool. And we came up with a list. I'm not going to say everybody who was on the list, but, we did have a couple of those people. We did have Silva, we did have Ray, and, obviously ixGingy and Adore. And the way we went about it is essentially, who did we think had the most potential? And who did we think we could get easily without having to go into a bid war? Because, we didn't have a lot of credits. Sure, we didn't have the least amount, but, we were thinking about, like, Digital, or I don't even know who else had more, but yeah, Rage. Like, we were worried about those players because we didn't want to get into a position where we bid it against people who had more credits than us, and we would end up like not having anybody we wanted. So, in my mind, I told Nets, all right, we're gonna put 10 credits on Oogie, and then we're gonna see what happens. So surely enough, I put the 10. I get Oogie for freaking 10, which still amazes me to this day. Like,
definitely the steal of the season.
Right, exactly, hands down. So once I won Oogie, it was like, oh, okay, Nets, look, we got Oogie for 10. So now we could pretty much take our time and just see how this whole thing is going to pan out. So we then went for Tank Puppy, and we had him for a while before Digital finally just put him all the way up to where the hell he went to. So then I was like, okay, so he didn't pan out. Let's go with Adore, because I have some experience playing with her from past season, and just whoever was remaining in the bid pool at the time, I was like, yeah, she's kind of the safe bet, so let's just go with her. And like you said, Oogie and Adore, they just panned out, so I'm happy.
Yeah, it's definitely you. I mean, you had them with Vital Signs last season, but I am sure you traded Oogle off. So it's good to see that it's working out the second time around. Because Oogie definitely fits how you guys play really well. Because he's a very tank-heavy ball carrier. So you're going against the standard tanking line. You guys just tank people to the ground, which is just insane. I haven't seen a team do this in forever. So the next questions I'm going to ask you are kind of like the multiple questions. This is like best tank, best runner, best hybrid, and best sword in the game. So I want to ask you. You can say yourself. You can hell you can say you're the best runner and the best tank and the best hybrid. You can say whoever you want. I mean, sure, it's gonna make you look like you got a big head. Whatever. This is the no humble podcast, man. You don't have to be humble. You don't have to be anything. So obviously, I kind of know the answer, but who do you think is the best tank?
Cyberfox.
Oh man, dude, Cyberfox and that ravioli tanking. Don't disrespect the ravioli tanking, bro.
Dude, he has his games. Like, I've seen him in some customs where he just goes off. It's like, what? Is that really Cyberfox? No way.
Yeah. So who do you think is the best runner in the league? There's been a lot of discussion about that. A lot of different types of runners. Personally, I feel like we all excel in our own little thing, but it's hard to say who really is the best runner. But who do you personally think is the best runner?
Oh man, that one's a little bit harder because in my head, there's 3 top runners. Yourself, Oogie, and Tonga. It's hard to choose between you and Oogie because Tonga, yeah. He used to be the number 1 runner, but since he's basically dropped off the face of the earth, he's not in contention for myself. So I kind of have to give the edge to Oogie, just because I've seen him run more than I've seen you run, Pinhead. So yeah, like the dude, he just knows how to punch. He's the master of ball punches, ball blocks, whatever. And I couldn't have asked for a better runner.
Oh yeah, he definitely compliments you, and I'm pretty sure if things keep going well for Ugloff, I'm pretty sure I could possibly see you guys, teaming up in the future, or him going for 200, 300 credits in the future. So, who knows what's in store for Ugloff's future. Hopefully it's not a 300 credit thing, because I don't think he would want to play for a 300 credit as a player, as a 300 credit. That's like the worst experience ever. So who do you think's the best hybrid? I'm pretty sure. These questions are kind of soft. When I wrote them down, I was like, wait, you kind of just already answered these questions throughout the interview. So who do you think's the best hybrid?
I mean, best hybrid, obviously Ace. I mean, dude, this is so obvious. These questions, come on.
I know, dude. I didn't think about them until now. Really, honestly, I just thought they were really fun questions. So now, this is, I think, is a good question, because I'm genuinely interested, because there's a lot of good swords out there. But who do you think has the best sword in the game?
The best sword would have to go to Tank Pup.
Oh, you're gonna give it to Tank Pup? Oh, man, you whack.
Dude, have you seen his stats? He has the most sword kills in the pro.
Yeah, but he has his sword out like 99% of the.
Well, yeah, because his hammer is absolutely garbage. But
Oh yeah.
still, when he has that sword out, he gets some stupid lunges. Like whenever I see him get a lunge that he should not, it makes me think, whoa, wait, hold up. So Galvin, sure as hell cannot get that. Ace could not get that. Pinhead could not get that. But this man can get that lunge? Okay, I'm done. This game is broken.
The sword discussion is very interesting because there's a lot of nasty swords, especially when you got people like Galvinator. Like, oh my lord, like his consistency with the sword is just crazy. And even you, like, you got some pretty crazy sword lunges. Like, I'm just like, how is this even possible? But my last question is actually going to be about GGL, because everyone knows the super team arc has been dominating GGL for the last few seasons. But now that Tonga's kind of, falling off the face of the earth, Ace kind of goes with the flow. He's not really he's not a true opinionated person. He doesn't really care what happens. Nets, no one knows he's a wild card. You never know what Nets is gonna do. He pulls tricks out of his hat all the time. So where do you think Arc is going as a team? What do you guys plan to do in the future? Are you guys planning to keep Arc around, or do you guys plan on just trying new things this season? What do you guys plan?
It's a little early to say about GGL. We still have like a couple of weeks before that whole thing becomes even a topic of discussion for us. But yeah, like I would hope that Tonga comes back for GGL and we do the whole Arc thing again, because I mean that team is a lot of fun to play on. Like I love those guys. Tonga, Ace, Nets. Yeah, like we all just get along so well. We're great friends, and like yeah, it's a super team, but really for me it's me playing with people that I enjoy playing with, and I couldn't ask for a better group to play with. So
it's definitely one of the most interesting teams I've ever seen assembled, especially because like Tariq is on it too, and it's like it's an interesting group of individuals.
I forgot about him.
Hopefully Tariq doesn't team up with you guys again, because we need GGL to be somewhat competitive. And I'm surprised you guys haven't gotten Galvinator. What? You know what? This is just gonna be a throw ball question. How come you guys haven't tried to get Galvinator yet? Hopefully you guys don't. I don't even know why I sprung that idea into your guys' head, but whatever.
Again, I can't speak for Tonga myself, but for me, I kind of don't want Galvin on the team, and the only reason is because I don't want us hogging all the talent onto one team. I want the talent to be spread out, because if we're constantly stomping on Turquoise Jeep and whatever other team that's around, it's no fun.
Yeah, Turquoise Jeep's not a super team. I just wanted to get that out there. Killers, come on. Killers, he ain't no super team player. Let's be honest. So I honestly, hopefully this went on for a good bit. I asked all the questions that I was genuinely interested to hear out of Rain's mouth. I'm definitely glad you came on. Very more interesting than you seem, because you're usually very quiet.
Yeah.
Though at least openly you're pretty quiet, but like you definitely got a lot of opinions, and as does a lot of people, like especially like Ace and stuff. You definitely have a lot of opinions that you don't like really throw out there, but you're very keep going.
Like Ace.
I kind of interrupted.
It's funny because Ace, nobody really hears him talk, but whenever it's just me and him in a party, like we just talk for hours on end. Like that dude, he has so many things to say. The dude's hilarious. Like I love the guy.
It's definitely crazy because he does have a lot of opinions that a lot of people get ostracized for and kind of like looked down upon. So it's very weird to hear it from his perspective. So that's all the questions I have for you. It was a joy to have you on, especially for the pro segment, because you're pretty funny. So I'm glad we had you on.
Yeah. Thanks for having me, dude. It was fun doing this whole thing, even though some of your questions were, predictable.
Softball.
Yeah.
I feel so bad.
I was expecting some raunchy stuff from you, Pinhead, actually.
Raunchy? Like what? Like what were you expecting? Man, I had to keep it clean, bro. I'm you know what? How about this? I'll give you a very Pinhead question, bro.
Oh, God.
I'm gonna ask you. You know what? Keep it on record. You know what, DJ? I'm sorry. I'm going off record. I want to ask you the real question that I would usually ask. But who do you think is the worst starter. Not no draft pick. You can't say snipe down. You can't say anything. Who do you think it is?
Worst starter? I mean, when I think of the worst starter, I have to go to the worst team right now, Pro Run. And that's Priest.
Oh dang! Honestly, I would say Killers, but that's just me. But you know, honestly, I wish I could ask more Pinhead-esque questions, but you know,
dude. Okay, look, you got to think about it. Like, how many wins does Pro Run have?
They have 2.
Okay, and how many wins does Next Dimension have?
They have like 4. But
so
they also have Tariq and Gal though.
Yeah, but still, like, even with that sort of lineup, they have double their wins. And like, yeah, I kind of agree that Killers is a bad player, but he's no Priest. Like, I'm sorry, Priest, I love you. He's an awesome guy, but yeah, Halo 5 is just not his game. I'm sorry.
Well, this was the AGLA community podcast, or the Grifball community podcast. Yeah, see y'all next week, man.
You've been listening to the Grifball community podcast. For more information on how you can get involved, head on over to GrifballHub.com. You can also follow us on social media. That's Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at GrifballHub. Tune in to our live streams Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday nights from 6 to 8 p.m. Pacific. That's 9 to 11 Eastern, only on twitch.tv/GrifballHub.